Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Proactive Podcast. Today we have another guest from across the pond. It seems to be becoming a regular on the show. Dan Hotlz is the CEO of, and co-founder, I should say, of Sovereign Lending Group. Since 2012, Sovereign Lending Group has been recognized by Inc. 5000 as one of the fastest growing privately held companies. It has been funded billions of dollars in home loans. And Dan also enjoys time with wife, 4 kids. Why you'd go for the 4th, I have no idea. No doubt that will come up. We were just chatting about that before. Has a great passion for charity work and has been a member of a board of directors for the Council of Aging Southern California for the past 10 years. Good morning where you are, Dan. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, Gary. Thanks for having me, and thanks for that very, very warm introduction. Really do appreciate that one.
Yeah, so we did chat about it before. What was the reason for the 4th?
That was not my doing. That was definitely the wife. So I kind of gave her a cutoff time period, like we need to have one by then. And sure enough, we were able to meet that deadline too. So it's been fun with 4 kids. It's a little hectic working at home with these lockdowns and COVID right now. Sometimes the kids don't understand when dad's working, but it's been fun to working from the house and the chaos of 4 children. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my biggest takeaways. And in a selfish way, I'm very grateful for, the COVID environment because I've had an office since 2006. Now I'm in a 20-foot by 12-foot garden room at the end of it. I've seen my wife more. I've seen my kids more. I've become more, much closer to them. And my wife's 7 years younger than I am. So it's like I'm 40 this year. And there's that thing. She's going, should we go for a 4th? Should we go 4th? I'm still winning at the moment. We'll see if I still manage to, but congrats on the 4.
Thank you. And it is great working from home. Like lunchtime, I'm able to go to walk with, the 1-year-old, 3-year-old, spend some more quality time, where beforehand, he just didn't really have that luxury too. So, everything's got its pros and its cons. And that's definitely one of the pros in regards to being able to work from home and share more time with your family. So understood.
Yeah. So the bio was since 2012 you've been running, and recognized as one by Inc. 5000 as one of the fastest growing privately held companies. So tell us a little bit about your journey and where it all started.
Yeah, great question. Actually, we started back in 2006, and really the lift started happening in 2012. I fell in love with the mortgage industry when I was in college. So my college roommate, he was working for his dad's mortgage company. He was studying accounting. I was studying business, and he was bringing these checks. The money was definitely something that was very intriguing to me, and I had to follow that. So right when I hopped out of college, I joined a mortgage company to learn the ropes. Again, I studied business, and I always knew I wanted to open my own mortgage company. But once I got there, yes, the money's great, but the impact they're able to create for a lot of people's lives. Homeownership is one of the big, here in the United States, it's the largest investment for most Americans. To be able to help them to craft a financial product, to put them in a better situation, I really like that. And I felt, opening up a company, having more people, I could affect more people's life too. So again, now we're doing hundreds of loans a month, getting into thousands fairly quickly here. And we're able to, again, really put a lot of people in better situations, whether it's reducing their interest rate, helping them tap the equity of their home, buying a home. It's a really great feeling to be able to help people out in regards to that.
Yeah, I love that. That's the whole reason I don't really like mortgages or property, but I absolutely love the feeling that it gets and it gives you and changing people's lives realistically. So I can very, very much relate to that. And for those of you who are listening on the podcast or listening live via the social media channels, we're going to be talking a lot about social media, millennials, automation in terms of the mortgage process, because what we can learn for those of us that are listening in the UK is whatever America are doing, they're probably 3 to 5, maybe even 10 years ahead of us. So at least it gives us light in terms of our archaic processes and where we might end up. But Dan, you mentioned there about 2006, your business went through, well, actually tell us a little bit now. You mentioned it before. Where is the business now in terms of size, number of loans, those kind of elements, team size and age? Give us a bit of an insight.
Well, 100%. So we started off in 2006. That was a great year for us, 2007. Then the financial crisis hit. We had to adjust what we sold, our workforce. The dust settled. We started to come out right around 2010 and really start focusing, building out the platform too. So investing back in technology, investing back and the leadership that we were acquiring. So that part there allowed for the growth of SLG or Sovereign Lending Group to continue on. So right now, the company sits at about 450 employees. We have about 150 loan officers. We have a Dallas, Texas division. We're based in Costa Mesa also. Really, the technology that we kind of invested in back in the time has allowed for the scalability, allowed for the continued growth, and for additional client acquisition, really making it very easy for our clients to do mortgage loans, which is a fuel to growth.
And when you started in 2006, or when you restarted in 2010, did you always have the mindset that you would go to such huge numbers of loan officers, as you call them?
We always had that picture and understanding that we were getting there too. So I think for us, I'm a big believer in kind of seeing what you want and then visually in your head, and then you find the path to get there. And the path to get there, that's the hard part, right? You learn, you make mistakes, you make corrections, and you understand. But once you understand on your dollar, you really remember that a lot more than maybe learning on someone else's dollar too. So we had a pretty big goal. We have some more big goals that we currently have right now at our company for additional growth. Like we want to continue to grow because we see a lot of opportunity. And the opportunity here in the United States that we see is that the big banks like Chase, Bank of America over here, they're kind of stepping back on the mortgage manufacturing process, and they're just not into it, right? They like to go back to their checking, savings, that type of, holding of money. And because of that, they're not as aggressively trying to take market share. So they're still, which means there's a lot of people out there that still need help. So the independent mortgage banks, the companies like Sovereign Lending Group, are taking a lot of market share. So just like last year in regards to refinance activity, independent mortgage banks did 70% of the originations, where big banks took 20%. If you go back to 2010, it was 40% big banks, not very much independent mortgage banks. So we're seeing that shift. And then furthermore, one thing that I like to talk about too is really who's buying homes right now. Millennials, right? They were the biggest segment last year purchasing homes. And if you look at the average age of a loan officer in 2014, they were 54 years old. They're getting ready to retire. They're already getting ready to exit the business. A more recent study from Stratmore came out on 2019 was 47 years old too. So it's kind of going in the right direction in terms of age. But the workforce at Sovereign Lending Group, the banker is 32 years old. So there's a huge relatability to the biggest generation, millennials right now. And I'm a millennial too, that are buying houses, refinancing house. And when you're able to work with another millennial, there's a likability, there's a connection there. We can talk about things that are on Clubhouse together. We can talk about what's the coolest thing on TikTok. And then also understand that millennials really need speed. They want the information. The people that are calling us now, they know what they want. They want it on their time. They want to communicate with us differently, whether that's DMing on Facebook, text message, all these things. So again, having a very strong millennial work base, mortgage LOs, talking to the largest, millennials coming online is definitely something that gives us a competitive advantage, and we're going to continue to focus on that.
Yeah, it's a growing. The millennial generation is technically bigger than the baby boomer generation, isn't it? At the end of the day, so it's a big amount of leads that are coming through. And I just want to confirm for all the UK listeners, you said LO, you mean loan officer, right?
That there is definitely slang over here in Southern California. So LO is a loan officer.
Just
yes.
Double checking. So I'm really interested. One of the big things I work on is marketing and social media, and I've got a community group of thousands of mortgage brokers and advisors, as we call them over here. Now, when I started mortgage brokering, it was go and do an evening appointment, knock 10 doors, I'd get one more appointment. Then it was telephone generated inquiries where we would phone hundreds of thousands of pieces of data to generate hundreds of leads, because it was just you're looking for the no's, you're not looking for the yeses. Then over here we had price comparison websites coming around where everything was getting faster and faster, and it's just continuing to get faster. Speed is winning. So I'm interested in 2010 SLG business to 2021 SLG business, how have you managed to, or what transitions have you had in the marketing and the lead generation and the customer acquisition side of things, going from the number of advisors you had then, the number of advisors and loan officers you had then, to having that number of advisors now? How have you managed to keep up with trends?
That's a very good question. And back in 2010, we were doing primarily traditional mail, right? So we get a mailer, like I'm sure a lot of people do. They mail that out. That's still very effective. It's difficult to scale. You drop the wrong mail drop, you may not get any phone calls. So we made a conversion where we moved over to a lot more lead acquisition in terms of internet buys, where people are looking online. And there's a few reasons we like that. One is because if they're applying online, they're most likely able to do their disclosures online. They know computers. They're able to get us the information that we want. Again, when you're mailing someone, they might not have a computer, even though they're living under a rock, whatever, crazy, or they just don't understand that part. So again, we really like that. And then scalability too. If you want to turn that funnel on too and bring more leads to your team, you can do that. It's more challenging with mail. So once we understood that we wanted to go that direction, now you have to build the technology behind it. So if you're going to really compete heavily online, you better make sure that you have a very good telephony system that's reaching those clients right away. And then you're triggering other things that go into it. So again, we buy a lead, whether let's say it's Lending Tree, that's a big place over here. For an example, we are making a phone call. We are sending a mailer. We are now trying to get on their Facebook wall to advertise to them. We're sending an AI intelligent email bot that's talking to them. So we're trying to standardize every single part of the process through technology and touching every single different way, because it's funny. Some people will respond to the email bot. Some people will respond to the Facebook wall post. Some people will respond to the mailer. Some people will respond to the phone call. So again, any way that our client wants to talk to us, we want to be able to offer that and be able to have them talk to us back. And that's where you really start seeing really good conversion ratios on the leads that you're buying online. Because if you just do one channel, only a phone call, text, you gotta hit it all around the corner really to make that work. So we've really progressed digitally that direction too. The remarketing goes into that, right? So if they do touch what we reach out to, you're now following around on Google and all the fun things that come with that also.
Yeah, and that's the thing with, particularly over here in the UK, the marketing side, we're constantly playing to someone else's date. Like you have obviously early repayment charge dates when their preferential loan comes to an end, when the interest rate is going to change and it's going to go up to the standard lending rate. So it's always dictated too. There's only a small percent of the market who are ready to buy now. They may be looking and asking questions, but it is staying in that mind's eye consistently 365. And sometimes we're also busy now. I've had it earlier. I literally put hi, whoever it was, on a LinkedIn message. Then my mobile rang. 30 minutes later, I'm still on the phone. I've closed down LinkedIn. I'm doing something else. Then I've gone back and I've thought, oh no, I didn't reply to him in that message. So it's like this can happen to clients as well. They've got all good intentions. They're searching for a mortgage online, and then all of a sudden something else. A kid runs in the house, throws a ball at your head.
That is such a good point, and that's what I think. If you want to be very good at marketing and have really good cost per acquisition, you need to understand that, right? There's a buy zone, right? And you're talking about it. There's a buy zone over here. Like again, mortgage unfortunately is not the most sexiest thing. Like most people don't get up one morning like I want to learn more about mortgage. Like whether compared to like if you're working out or you like soccer, football, whatever you go to that. So when people get in that mind frame of like, hey, I need to do this, I need to do a refinance, I'm seeing in the news. Again, you have to, when they show that buy zone or that activity they want to buy, you need to be able to continue to follow up on that too. Because just like you said, even for me, like I need to buy maybe a new bed, and my kids come in the house, and now I'm unable to complete that transaction. But if I'm able to follow that person around by remarketing, getting a mailer, getting a text message, getting a phone call, you're really taking that buy zone that they're in and you're maximizing as much as possible. They will fall out of that buy zone. So you got to be ultra aggressive once they're in that buy zone to try to win that. Because again, a lot of clients, it's just, they're like, okay, I don't really care. Again, how much I save on an interest rate is like, who can provide that service to me now? And if you're there, raising your hand, they're going to pick you too. So we try to do a really good job at that part too when they're in that particular buy zone. That's what we call it over here. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like that, the buy zone. I've never heard it before, but I might borrow it from you if that's all right.
100% take
it. And then you talk about there as well, the whole building that relationship throughout the process and trying to hit them in many different ways. And you've gone from traditional marketing. Do you do much in terms of referral and recommendations? So clients referring other clients or referring their friends and family. Is that something you get much of?
We definitely do get a lot of repeat business. Is something that we go ahead and do. Again, for us, we care a lot about customer service and how overall the client experience the loan process. So everybody that completes the loan with us gets a survey, and we get their feedback, and they either say it was a great experience, wasn't a great experience. So we're definitely do that. We use the Net Promoter Score too to see how often they would refer to us too. That's provided to our mortgage bankers too. Then they can ask for those referrals too. So that's something that's big on that particular part. One thing that I do to kind of mention too is that we do use an element of big data, right? So our clients that come in, we are now looking and monitoring, credit activity if they're going to have their credit pulled by another lender. We're monitoring equity too, if their value's gone up, if their home has been listed on the market, if their debt has gone up. We're monitoring that now. We understand what's happening in that, and when we see that again, those triggers happen, we're now in buy zone again, right? And then we activate the machine to try to capture that particular client back to us too. So there's a lot of cool tools out there that you properly implement, and that's the hard part, really making sure all your technologies talk to each other and then it's presented to your mortgage banker, that can make you super effective in regards to capturing as many clients as possible too. So that's another thing that's definitely we should talk about. And then I know, client acquisition is a big thing, but there's also talent acquisition, right? On social media, we use that very effectively. So again, and I think everybody can use this too, because you got to train a lot of people, which I know you do on social media, but the easier you can make it for your team to share LinkedIn posts, to share Instagram posts, to share Facebook posts, you're now tapping their network. So our leadership team, we send out 2 times a week, just our leadership team. We're more active on social media on just the marketing team, but they will send in all the links to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to Instagram of new posts we do. And then we give out prizes, right? SLG t-shirts, gift cards to whoever likes that, shares that, comments on that too, because again, we're trying to tap their network, because we understand if their network's seeing that and they're looking to maybe buy a house, refinance their house, we may get that business. Furthermore, if that person's maybe looking for a job, wants to jump in the mortgage industry, and because we're looking for additional team members, they're seeing us. So really being able to tap your team currently that you have with you network is huge. And sometimes you got to show them how to do it. So that's why we make it very easy for them to look at that.
I think that is probably one of the biggest revelations that I've had from doing these podcast episodes. So I thank you for that, because we're about to go through a big scaling in my brokerage. And we've got quite a few people who listen to this podcast who I know in the UK who have big brokerages. And we're getting, I'm ahead of the game, shall we say, in my industry for social media. I was kind of one of the first to be using it here. But now I've got a team of 14, and that's definitely something that we should do, is actually once or twice a week. And you can do this too if you're listening. Put together 3 or 4 posts on different social media channels and just literally send them the link and say, share it. And I love that competition idea as well around that, because if everyone's got 1,000 friends and you've got 10 people on your team, all of a sudden you're now hitting 10,000 people across the course of every single week, potentially. Obviously, the algorithms aren't that kind to you, but that's the game that you can potentially play. That is such a good hack.
And it's great. And too, and a lot of, you know how it is, usually referrals in terms of bringing on your workforce is much better than getting someone off like an Indeed or some job website. They just perform better. They have similar goals, similar core values, and all the things that come with that too. So we really use that a lot to try to bring additional team members onto our team. And I'm not sure I'm assuming it's similar in the UK right now, the United States, where rates are super low right now, so there's a huge demand for money. So now it's really finding these additional team members to bring on to help manufacture all these people that need these new lower interest rates too. So again, that can definitely help you spread your wings and tapping other talent places that might need to join the team, which is also a good point.
Yeah, we're seeing the same trends as here as well. You know, the demographic for mortgages when I first joined the industry was probably in the 50s and 55s. You know, it's now definitely coming down, and we're seeing it more probably in the mid 30s. My firm is definitely mid 30s. And I think with I did podcast previously around recruitment and apprentices, and we've got a scheme over here where the government are funding Kickstarters, they're called, you know, kind of 16 to 21, I think it is, for the first 6 months of their employment before you have so they're getting paid. We can get employees for free for 6 months. So that's just such a great opportunity to get somebody in, do it at scale, test it, try marketing, call old leads, do anything and everything to have a go and see what happens. You've got no risk.
100%. And that is a really good point. And to kind of add to that too, is that we firmly believe in the apprenticeship. We've taken a step farther where we have classes, right? We've done the apprenticeship, and some of the best team members at Sovereign Lending Group are homegrown. Came from right out of college, whatever the case might be. We taught them the right way that we feel manufacturing a loan. There's a loyalty there. They know they do the best practices. You're not teaching an old dog new tricks. Like, no, you can't do it that way. They only know your way. So we've scaled that. We've had almost 14, 15 classes of 20 to 50 brand new people. And this is primarily for the mortgage bankers. We've done it for processing and underwriting too, where we train them from scratch. No mortgage experience. We put them through a 6-week course, really showing them how to manufacture a loan the right way. We help them out with their licensing. And that really is the best ROI you can do by far, right? You can add all these technologies things, but if you get good quality people that are smart and want to work hard and have the grit, you give them the tools, you show them the way, it's by far the best ROI you have in any part of your business. And 85% of our workforce now are homegrown. They didn't come from another mortgage company. They came from other industries, and we show them the right way. And again, I know we were talking about this in the very beginning, you know, the pros and cons of working at home. And because of COVID, right? There's another thing that's, you know, that's been beneficial for COVID for the mortgage industry. I know COVID's horrible. It's been devastating. It's disgusting. But a lot of industries being affected by that. And great people that had jobs for 10 years, 5 years, evaporated, gone. So that's horrible for them. But we've actually been able to provide through our training program a path for them to learn how to do mortgage banking and to make as much money as they were making before, or if not making more money. So they've been able to pivot in their careers. Again, through the training programs that we provide, we are able to go ahead and do that. So there's a big talent base of great people that work. If you give them the right tools, you give them the right training, you will get success. You will help them out in terms of their career, and you will also be able to help more homeowners refinance and build your business up too. So that's a big thing because of COVID that's we've seen on our side over here.
Yeah. And are all your advisors or your loan officers, are they employed, or do you have them self-employed over there?
We have them all W-2 employed. So they are all set up that way. FHA, that's one of the requirements to do those type of loans. And California is definitely a little bit more restrictive on how they deem certain employees. There's a big old thing right now. I don't know if you've been watching the news about the gig economy, right? Uber drivers are trying to make self-employed or W-2 workers now. I think you guys are having some of that stuff over there too.
IR35, it's called over here. Yeah.
Right. So the DoorDash, you know, all that stuff too. So they're pushing. So the state of California, where we are, they really want everybody to be employed. We do that for a lot of those reasons.
Yeah, fair enough. No, yeah, we're going through a thing with our IR35, as it's called, where it's the same kind of thing. If you've got self-employed people, but they're only working for you, then you know they should technically be employed, and that's the tricky bit. So yeah. I think some firms are going to suffer more than others, depending on how they're set up.
100%.
Yeah. So in terms of, you said acquisition there, we've spoken about social media. Do your loan officers, do you provide them all with inquiries and with leads and, hot prospects, or do you allow them to use their own social media channels to create TikToks or podcasts or reels, whatever kind of stuff they're into?
As of right now, the way that we are set up, it's all company driven leads, right? So the company has ownership, so it's all branded with our company. It's not necessarily done on the individual loan officer base. That's just how the platform's set up currently right now. It will probably morph where we have a lot more of that stuff coming down the line where it's LO owned, but as of right now, everything that's being produced by marketing is being done in the company's name on that part. And the reason why is we want our LOs to be able to produce 20 loans to some of our LOs are doing 80 loans. In order to do a lot of that stuff, they have to be ultra focused on what they do best. We feel is to be on the phone. So again, they're just taking lead calls, and they get anywhere from 5 to 8 calls a day. Homeowners kind of scrub, looking to possibly do a refinance, and that allows the velocity of the file to get up where they're able to manufacture a lot more loans. So that's kind of how it's set up. Now, again, broker firms can do the same thing. You would just probably get help from social media to push those things out for you, or spend some time on a Saturday and Sunday when you have that to preload your social media content and push all that stuff out too. So as of right now, we're running the social media and we're pushing as a company level.
Yeah, and it's the vital thing that you said there, which is something that I preach all the time, is your job is to leverage, to delegate out whatever doesn't involve speaking to a client, completing paperwork, doing deals, submitting even the submitting applications, chasing lenders as we do, all of that packaging up, that should all be with an admin. The whole focus of a loan officer, a mortgage broker, a mortgage advisor is speaking to clients, because that's the thing that drives profit. It drives sales. It drives your income and your lifestyle.
100% couldn't agree with you more. And that's in order to get to the velocity and the number of files going up, you have to do that. And we consistently think and look at our LOs at a leadership level. How can we take more responsibility where they're doing busy work? First, how do we then automate that? Do we build a bot around that? Do we build some type of technology? Because again, if you can do that for that one banker, you can do it to 150 bankers, right? And if you can't do that, what do we look to outsource? Do we send stuff over to India for them to go ahead and do? And if you still can't do that, what internal resource do we bring in to, again, have our bankers on the phone? Now, we measure them, how long they're on the phone for, when they're asking, for credit, when they're talking about interest rates, because you can get super precise on that. And again, the more repeatable and measurable things you have, the more predictable outcome you can have too. So, and again, if you take that with one person, it could be one person, it could be at 10,000 person or 10,000 people, but that's how you start really driving and getting better at what you're doing, is by doing those type of activities.
And I now look at it that as a business owner and, the leader of my mortgage brokerage, and you're obviously the leader of yours, my job now is I actually work for the team. And providing the marketing, providing the support, the element of it is actually my job is to make their life more efficient, quicker, easier, automated. Therefore, they can do more business. They can write more loans. Where do you see in your journey, the automation part, not just for millennials, but also for your team and the whole mortgage process?
And that's definitely a great point. Like, again, the leaders is there to take business constraints off your team members, right? The more business constraints that you take off, Gary, obviously, the more they're able to help more homeowners realize that their dreams of home ownership or getting into that better financial situation too. So technology and automation is definitely the key in terms of enabling your team to do more loans and provide great service. We don't feel technology is a replacement, because there is a fear like, oh, I'm going to get replaced, whether it be the underwriter, the processor. No, it's an enabler. It's an enabling. The technology we lay in allows our underwriters to do, instead of 4 files, 8 files. Instead of our bankers to do 8 loans, 15 loans. So again, that scale and enabling them to help more people allows us then to drive additional costs down, providing a better product to our client. So again, that's what it's all driven about. It's about, again, providing better service, driving down the cost. So then we can take those savings, we can take that experience and provide a better product to our client, which then in turn means we get more clients because we get more happy clients, and it's a snowball effect at that particular point.
Yeah, most definitely. And do you find, what are some of the key automations that you've made in your business for both millennials? Let's do it two-way. Let's go customers first, and then we'll go to team thereafter. I'm intrigued to see what's happening in America, because hopefully it'll be happening to us at some point in the future.
There's a lot of companies coming to market too that you can bolt onto your LOS, to our loan origination software system, that can provide, you do it your own speed, refinance. So if you bring a client in, they can drop their own SIPs. We have these capabilities. You fill your own 1003 out, runs credit, runs the desktop underwriter, underwrites the file by a machine, tells you what your SIPs are. So we have that part, and that aspect where we can send that to the client, the millennials, whoever wants to go ahead and use that. If they want to go their own pace, they can do that. We also feel that, mortgage is a little complicated, especially if you're getting on the purchase side. Again, anybody who's gone through the purchase transaction, there's definitely some stress that's involved with it. And even it's funny, even for myself and like other people in our office that are buying homes that have done thousands of mortgage, when it turns into their home purchase, there's an element of stress there and just that worriness and stuff like that. So putting that human touch on and having that answering questions, whatever the case might be, I think is still very important. We have that, along with them doing their whole loan themselves. If they don't ever want to talk to anybody on the phone, they can do that here. They can again go to our website, fill all that information out. We're really focusing on too this the automation internally, picking up the velocity of the file too, because again, right now there's such a demand for mortgage. If you can shave off and do loans quicker, you can help more people out. Again, the demands is super high right now because rates are so low. So whether that's doing, building out a bot that orders certain services, repeatable services that you're able to go ahead and do, we have that. Whether it's, indexing by machine learning of paperwork that comes in, reads the docs, puts it in the right bucket, we have that. Because again, anything that's taking, task oriented stuff should really be automated, should really be built in technology. And you're then using your underwriters, you're using your mortgage bankers for those highly critical decision making things too. So the more that you can do that, the more effective, more efficient everybody is, and the more homeowners you're able to buy. And then furthermore too, like it just really improves the quality of your team members. Like a processor and an LO or loan officer doesn't want to be indexing pay stubs and assets and all of these things and putting them in the right bucket over here. They want to be on the phone. They want to be making connections and talking to clients. So take that stuff away, and you can take that stuff away by machine learning, AI, and the technology component too. So and again, straight to the underwriters. Underwriters don't want to be looking at, oh, is this a PUD or is this a SFR, a condo? That all should be done, and they should be making the hard decisions and critical thinking decisions that comes along with that stuff.
Yeah, we're definitely not there yet. We're still, ours over here is archaic. There's so much paperwork, so much keying of information from one system to another system to another system. We're hoping that it's just going to get more efficient, but the banks over here, their systems just don't talk to the mortgage sourcing systems. And I think that's the big challenge that's facing. We can automate lead acquisition into our data capture forms and the relationship with the client. But then everything after that, from the bank, the solicitor, the conveyancer, it's just an absolute nightmare. They can't keep up with the speed.
I can see that, and that's that's one thing the mortgage industry is kind of reliant on too. Even not in the big banks, they're definitely a part of it, and then also the government, the county recording, right? So again, e-signatures in e-recordable deeds and notes is not very hard to do. It's just you got to get the counties all to follow along with that too, and that right there would provide a really big pickup for our customers in terms of them enjoying the process more, because it's not fun signing 120 pages of paper with a notary when you can have this electronically signed. And then furthermore, taking the errors out of it, right? There's so many times we get our docs back loan documents and they forgot a date, or the date looks weird, and now we need to have someone re-sign it too. So again, hopefully that gets picked up on the county side and the government side too. And COVID's kind of really pushed that along too, because again, not a lot of courthouses were closed during COVID. And we have trade groups pushing hard to have a lot of these changes that took place with COVID, which is just a push of technology, working remote, online recordings, e-signatures. It's pushed that probably like 3 to 4 years too. That's another benefit of COVID, was we had to figure that out and kind of go down the route. It's still nowhere it could be. It could be way more advanced on that part. But again, hopefully we'll get there sooner rather than later on that part.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks very much indeed. We'll bring to a close in the not too distant, because I know your time is precious as well. And I'm really intrigued. What's next in terms of SLG Group, or for millennials, or for the mortgage industry, do you think?
Great question. What's coming down next is it's still the millennials are still hitting that market. We're having a home shortage here in the United States, which is driving up costs. Hopefully the builders start finding this out and they start building more property for all this demand that's happening right now. So we see a robust housing economy. We see still low interest rates. This talk of inflation, I think, is kind of blown out of proportion. We haven't really been dealing with inflation for 40 years, and all of a sudden now it's this huge issue. Again, it's a lot of it in the news. It'll probably subside on that part, but you're going to still have low interest rates. You're going to have not very much inventory, which is probably going to make the housing market very strong. And you're going to want the millennials that are buying continue to buy. So we're very bullish in terms of our growth, on growth in regards to the mortgage industry and how many people are going to need help with their financing. So we're going to continue to build, and we're going to continue to give great service and a great product to as many people as we can help out.
And what do you think in terms of the industry going forward? What's next for that as a result of COVID or anything?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. One day, who knows, right? What technology and how fast is it? And this is probably years off, and we'll see how quickly it comes. That you will pick your mobile phone up and you'll say, "Hey, Alexa, hey, Siri, can you refinance my house?" And then most likely it will be done, right? Again, we are far off, but that's one day it will probably go to that where, "Siri, what's the interest rate right now? Okay, can you lock that in and process my loan?" And that's going to be that. Again, we're years off from that. Like, there's so much complication in mortgage too. Like, what's the best option to go ahead and do? Like, I have 4 rental properties. I'm self-employed. There's all these other things that kind of go into it. But the more technology is pushed out there, and the simpler the process will be done, the better the loans will be manufactured too, because it'll take a lot of errors out of that, which inherently will take out risk and further better interest rates. But it's definitely a crazy time. Mortgage, just like us with you over here, it's like the last to kind of get redone. Like, we have the fintechs on the bank side. Mortgage is definitely down and lower on the chain. And the real estate agents are even lower on the chain in terms of technology, advancements and stuff like that too. But that's one day we'll go that direction. We're far off from that, but we'll continue on.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy to see where they go. It's going to be one of those, isn't it, where Alexa, what's going on with my mortgage application? And she's literally going to spout off exactly where you're at and everything else. It's going to be crazy to think what's going to happen, but it is so possible right now. It's interesting to see what's coming up.
It really is, and we have a lot of work until we get there too. Mm-hmm. So we're super excited about the future in terms of housing and really providing a great service to everybody that's out there too.
Perfect. Any final words of wisdom for the audience, Dan?
Only words of wisdom. If you're not in the mortgage industry, it's a fluid, great industry to be in. You can help a lot of people. I truly love it. If you want to make an impact and difference and help a lot of people out, helping them with their home loan, helping them with a refinance, a purchase, cash out, whatever the case might be, you can affect a lot of lives, and it's really cool industry to be in. So if you're not in it, I would definitely check it out. There's a lot of fun to be had here.
Yeah, I agree. And that's exactly the same here in the UK as well. Yes, the administration is an absolute pain in the butt, but it's it's getting better slowly but surely. COVID hasn't helped, but helping customers, they're so grateful when you get the mortgage offers and everything else. That it's a great industry to be in. It's one that's going to be around for the longest time, and there's no other really like it from my experience. So Dan, where should we send people to find more about you or to connect with you on social media channels or give you feedback on the podcast episode?
Yeah, great. You can go to our website, which is slgmortgage.com. Again, that's slgmortgage.com, and all our links to our social media are on there, and you can find us there.
Awesome. And this is the Financial Pro podcast. The pro element came around because of the values of the business. It's perseverance leads to results, which creates opportunity. What does pro really mean to you?
Pro is being an expert at what you do, right? And really fully understanding what you do and continuously get better, right? Again, we always want to be better than we were the previous day. Sharpening your skills, really understanding what you're doing and getting better is what we all strive for. So that's what a pro is to me.
Awesome. Well, Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. I thank you for giving up your time and sharing your words of wisdom today on millennials, on the process, on managing life with 4 kids. Really, really appreciate it.
Gary, thanks for having me. Really appreciate your time too.
Thanks, man.